Michaela Vernava for NESN.com, joined via Skype by Danny Keynes, Vice President of Content for NextVR. And Danny, your company's drive is to bring people closer to the events they love. Can you explain how you're doing this?
Yeah, so NextVR is a virtual reality company that is essentially bringing sports fans front and center to NBA games, and we've been doing it all season long. We've had a season-long partnership with the NBA, and we essentially teleport viewers into an arena so they can experience an NBA game in virtual reality, and we do that by rigging the arena with 8 to 10 cameras. And we put these virtual reality cameras in positions that essentially money can't buy. So we have these cameras that are rigged underneath the stanchions of the baskets, and we put you also on the scorer's table. So we put you courtside, essentially a courtside seat. And you know, one of the things about virtual reality is it's very hard to explain, and you really need to experience it to understand just how transformational it can be. But the easiest way to explain it is to say it's just like stepping into the television screen. So now, for the first time ever, you know, people have traditionally consumed sport watching it on a flat screen, and now we're essentially putting you inside the screen. So when you're in one of these experiences, you can look around 360 degrees. So you can, when you look up, you'll see the roof. When you look to the side, you might see a coach talking to a player. When you look to your right, you might see, you know, the water boy, or you might see somebody famous that's sitting next to you in a courtside seat. And when you turn around, you see player stats, you see matchups, you see information about the game that you're watching. So it's a fully immersive experience, and what's important about that is it's also 3D. So you get a sense of depth of field. So you really have this incredible sense of immersion. So you feel like you're actually at the game, even though you're in your living room.
I've had a chance to try it, and it actually is absolutely incredible. I was mind blown by the way, as you explained, when you turn your head, you're seeing everything that would actually be in the arena. Can you tell us, I know that you have highlights available now for NBA. I believe it's 6 NBA teams. Is this also going to be revolutionizing the way we consume live sporting events?
Yeah, so our actual deal with the NBA is a multi-year deal, and we do live NBA games, and we just come out of our regular season, and so at the moment, if you come to the NextVR platform, what you get is a bunch of the best from the NBA season in virtual reality, and as part of those packages, we've taken some of the leading teams from the NBA season, and we've put together these highlight reels that allow you to watch the games in really condensed form. But going into next season, we'll have live games again, and so on any given night of the week, you should be able to pick up your VR headset, which is just small little headsets like these. They're super cheap these days. They come in for less than $100, and put a headset on and essentially be at the game. And so we broadcast those games actually in real time as part of the NBA League Pass offering.
And we're rolling some of the 2D footage you were able to send us. It doesn't quite give the same feel or the same effect of what these goggles and this technology actually does. And it sounds really cool to me the way you were explaining it when we first started talking. It sounds like this will give people who would never otherwise have the chance to sit courtside, whether they can't afford it or for health issues, or even military people who are overseas and watching a game, the only way they can watch is through a television. How are you just opening up the world for all different kinds of people?
Yeah, and that's one of the amazing things about the technology is there's a fairly significant percentage of NBA fans that will just never have the ability to set foot in an NBA arena for a bunch of reasons, and maybe they just simply are living overseas. And because our deal with the NBA is a global deal, you can essentially watch these games anywhere on the planet, and so that it opens up the door for NBA fans that are living in other parts of the world to feel as if they've actually stepped into an NBA arena for the first time. And the other part of it, of course, is that when we start to produce these games, we don't just set these cameras up and stream the game. We actually put on a fully produced show So we do a pre-game show, we do a halftime show, we bring you feature stories that are all shot in virtual reality. And the reason for that is because we really understand the most important thing when watching sport is meeting the demands of the sports fan, right? And when producing sport. And so we add to these games all the layers of context that sports fans now inherently just demand when they're watching sport. So we have slow motion replays. We bring you back, shots of players as they do a slam dunk. We bring you that back in slow motion. We bring you real-time stats and data. So we bring you game clock, shot clock, game score. We bring you player stats into the experience. And we have our own commentary team.
That'll work. Milwaukee in front.
Which is specific to the VR experience. So we have a NextVR team that consists of a play-by-play, an analyst, and a courtside reporter. So it's very exciting, and you really start to get a sense of it not just being different from television, but ultimately better than television, because you get the sense of immersion and you get the sense of actually being at the game, along with all the bells and whistles of a TV broadcast.
It sounds so interesting. My question would be, when you're at a game, one of the other sensory experiences that you have other than watching and looking around you is obviously hearing what's going on. So what are people hearing while they're watching a live game with this technology?
Yeah, so you actually get the sound of the crowd as well in the experience. So we have cameras, we rig 8 to 10 around the arena, and some of those cameras are actually placed in the crowd. So we have them up high in the arena amongst the actual fans in the stadium. So you do get a sense of not just of being in the experience solo. You get a sense of community because you feel like you're in the arena with all the other fans. So we pipe in not just our commentary and not just our music and effects and the sounds of the court, but actually the entire sounds of the arena.
Now, for the official NBA League Pass VR partner debut, how did you choose the 6 teams that you selected?
Yeah, so actually part of our Season 1 agreement with the NBA was to give every single team in the league a VR game. So we had the ability to travel right around the country and see every single team play in virtual reality or broadcast in virtual reality. And so as we got towards the end of the season, we started to think about those teams that would continue to be continue through the playoffs, and we brought those highlight reels to you. But if you go to the NextVR app today and you're an NBA fan, you can see your team in virtual reality because we have every single team in the actual experience, highlights from the actual game we broadcast, so 5-minute highlight clips. So they're not best ofs specifically, but you can still see your team play in VR if you come into the platform.
In your opinion or your prediction, what does this mean for flat screen TVs that people have hanging on their walls?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's one of the things which I spend a lot of time thinking about, because ultimately, when we create these experiences, we have to think about all the different ways that fans consume sport today. And I don't think that VR will ever replace traditional television. Just like I don't think television ever really traditionally replaced radio, or radio ever replaced print, or mobile phones ever replaced a desktop computer. I think there's a place for all these mediums there, and I think VR is just ultimately a new way for sports fans to consume NBA content.
Well, very cool. Danny, thanks so much for educating us about NextVR. Really appreciate it.
Great, thanks for having me.
Giannis all the way! Spectacular!